Missed me? I definitely missed you. Happy New Year. So a client reached out wondering if I could do alterations on a wedding dress that she had bought off the rack. She loved it. It fit fairly well, but she wanted to find out if I could possibly shorten the dress because it was super long on her and she was on the shorter side. So I was like, okay, that seems fairly straightforward. Come in, let's see what's going on. Oh my gosh, are you serious? I did not start recording. Okay, gotta start again. So she came in for her consultation. This is her in the dress. I love this dress, but then I say that for so many dresses that I see, but I love the simplicity of this dress. Classic, elegant. I just love it. Loved it on her. And for sure, you could see that the dress is super long. She actually has her wedding shoes on. So yes, really, really long, and she is on the shorter side, so definitely going to shorten that. That was pretty straightforward. But as we were talking during the consultation, she was like, is it possible for you to add sleeves to the dress? And I'm looking at the dress and I'm like, sleeves? How would we add sleeves? And I'm like, do you have any inspiration pictures, something that you've seen that you would kind of like the dress to look like? And she was like, yes, I do. And she showed me the pictures of what exactly she wanted. So this is the picture of her sleeve inspiration. I was like, that's different. It was different. And I was like, you want full coverage like that? And of course it was different styles with her dress, because her dress, even though it's off shoulder, the way the sleeves are attached on this one, the way her dress design was at the top, I was like, how do we incorporate sleeves onto your dress? And I was like, are you certain you want sleeves added to the dress? And she was like, yes. I said, is it for religious reasons? Are you like more conservative and you just want to cover up? And she was like, no, I've just loved sleeves pretty much all my life. And I was like, when I get married, I would like to have sleeves on my wedding dress. But of course, she fell in love with this dress that she had, and she just wanted to incorporate those sleeves. I was like, okay, let me just take a look at the dress, just look at it from different angles, see what type of style it is, and then maybe come up with some suggestions, and then we'll go from there. So did a little bit of research on the dress because I really wanted to see like how it was put together, the construction. So to me, it just looked like it was just a normal dress. And what they had done is just made the top part kind of go off shoulder, and so you have that bunching up at the sleeve, at the sleeve area, so it looks like it's kind of like two pieces, and you can see there that's just part of the dress. Whereas hers, I had to think about how am I going to attach sleeves the way she wanted me to. So very interesting dress, very interesting sleeves. At first I was like, not my taste, but listen, I was not the one wearing the dress. I was not the one getting married. This was not my inspiration. This was not my vision. So listen, if you can do what the bride wants, do what the bride wants. So after a bit of brainstorming, I was like, your sleeves are not going to look exactly like your inspiration dress, again, because of the style of that dress and just how the sleeves were sitting, how the dress was created. So I suggested that I could just pretty much, their sleeves, but just the way I've kind of doodled there, just add those sleeves, but underneath her off-shoulder situation that was going on. It wasn't as complex as I'm making it come out to be. That was like super easy, and even making the sleeves would be super easy. And I was like, you know what, we could test it out. But she was like, I like the direction that you're thinking. I think that could work, and it will still give me the effect of the type of sleeves that I want. So I was like, okay, great, we can do that. And now usually if I have to make something that has to match the dress, then we have to think about the fabric, where I'm sourcing the fabric. But fortunately enough, look at that detachable train that came with the dress. That was a whole lot of fabric. And so I was like, well, we have all this fabric, and even if I took some to make the sleeves, it would still be more than enough train for you to have. So that was my challenge, trying to get fabric from the detachable train to create these sleeves, and then yeah, go from there. So that's what was decided, and I went to work. Forgot to take a process video, but this is just a clip of me attaching the sleeve, or kind of attaching it to underneath the dress. Now, I didn't fully sew it down. I just sewed it in some points, just so if I needed to make any further alterations, then I was able to do that. So yes, the sleeve is tucked in under that off shoulder piece. So I had her, the bride come in for another fitting. This is her in the dress, and she loved it. Usually, like at the beginning of my alterations, consultations, some brides they don't show much emotion during the process, but once they start to see their dress transforming into what it needs to look like, or what they want it to look like, that's when you see expressions, that's when you see smiles, sometimes we see tears. And so this was like the largest smile that I had seen on this bride. And so we were headed in the right direction. She loved the way I had incorporated the sleeves. And honestly, it was like tubes. It was just tubes that I had added, and had to kind of like squeeze underneath the off shoulder part. And I was going to sew those on, but you had tubes. That's what it was. So here I just wanted her to test out the movement of the sleeves. Were they fluid enough? Were they moving with her body? And to get that kind of effect, because her fabric, I believe, was a Mikado satin. I don't know, maybe like a matte satin, and it did not have any stretch. If it did, it was very minimal. So I had to use, of course, the detachable train. I had to cut out some fabric, but the way I cut it out was more on bias. Just research that, because I know I would butcher the explanation of cutting fabric on bias. But whatever the case, if you cut fabric on bias, it helps when you sew it together. It kind of gives some kind of stretch. So that's how I cut the fabric on her detachable train to create the sleeve, to give her that movement. Because if I had cut it another way, she wouldn't have been able to move the way that she did. So really all I needed to do was make it a little bit more fitted. And then we also had to decide how short or where she wanted it to hit on her hand. So, but yeah, we were headed the right direction. She absolutely loved the sleeve. Yeah, I had her come in for a final fitting, and this is her in her sleeves for the final fitting. Yeah, looks like it was the same day, but it was really different days, different fittings. And yes, like I said, she absolutely loved the dress, had them a little bit more fitted, shortened them a little bit, and then had her try on the detachable train. You can see still lots of fabric there, but I kind of like, if you notice, it's more tapered in the front. It's more straight in the front, as opposed to the curve that it originally had before the alterations. It's so gorgeous in the sleeves. Perfect. It's so gorgeous in the sleeves. Perfect. So of course, with the other alterations, I had shortened the hemline in the back. The dress actually kind of, the off shoulder part had, I don't know, some flaps in the back. And so she wanted me to sew those down. But other than that, that was pretty much the alterations. Unfortunately, I didn't have any pictures of her on her wedding day. So these were the only pictures that I had just during the process of the alterations. So before and after, how did I do? And let me know, what's your preference? No sleeves, sleeves? What do you think about the detachable train? You can put all of that in the comments.